Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. My name's Matt Paul, and I'm the Director of Marketing Admissions at the Australian International School in Singapore. In tonight's episode of Into the Classroom, we go even further into the classroom than ever before. And I've got the great privilege of having three of our senior students joining us. I've got Alison Kinneally, our head girl, Emma Astridge, our principal's prefect, and I've got Hamish Barrett, our head boy. Welcome along, Ali, Emma, and Hamish.
Thank you.
First of all, let's get started and break the ice a little bit. If you could tell our audience whereabouts you came to before AIS, the year you started, and one thing that you really enjoyed doing at school. And I'm going to start with ladies first. Ali, you can begin.
Sure. So before I was here, I was living in Brisbane, Australia, and I was there for the majority of before my life, so around 10 years. Then I came here in year 4, so that was 2014.
Yes.
And yeah, so I've been here for around 7-ish years or so. Yeah, just AIS. And one thing that I love doing is art and sports, a mix of both.
Which sport would you say?
Probably netball.
Terrific.
Yeah.
All right, that's lovely to know. Carrying on along the bottom of our slide, Emma, can you tell us next?
Yeah, so I came here from Sydney, Australia. I arrived here when I was 6 years old, so I was going into year 1. So I've currently been here for 11 years now. And one thing I enjoy most about AIS is definitely getting involved in all the productions we do.
Oh, we've done a lot too. Which would be your favourite production so far? Which would be your favourite?
Probably the one we did in year 8. We did the musical Little Shop of Horrors.
Oh, I remember that. That was awesome. Yeah, that we do really great ones. It's a bit of a shame at the moment with COVID, but we'll come back to that. Thank you very much, Emma. And last but not least, Hamish, can you tell us your journey?
Yes, so I was at St. Lawrence's College in Brisbane, Queensland. Hello to family, grandparents who are watching this at the moment. I came to AIS in 2018, so year 8, and this is my 4th year at AIS. And I enjoy sport and hanging out with my mates and also being in the classroom, learning.
I'm going to put you on the spot as well, Hamish. Which sport would I most likely find you?
Definitely rugby or touch rugby, one of the two top sports, yeah.
Terrific. It's nice and warm in Singapore to play those two too, isn't it, Hamish?
Yeah, nice and humid, so lots of sweating.
It can be a real treat out on our oval too with the AstroTurf. It's even a few degrees hotter, isn't it, because of the black rubber that we use to make them nice. But thank you very much for the introduction. You three, it's an absolute privilege to have you along. I was very excited about you coming through, and you are 3 senior students. And just to help our audience to put it in perspective, and do correct me if I ever say anything tonight that's not quite right, say, Mr. Hall, that's not quite the way it is. But you are in your 3rd term of year 11.
Yep.
And you've already done half a year in your chosen last 2-year courses. The way that we do things at AIS is we select our new prefects at this time of the year to give our year 12s time to finish off with their studies and concentrate on what they need to, and also give you the maximum amount of time in these leadership roles. You have just recently been elected to these 3 positions, which is very, very exciting. Before we go into a little bit about what you've got for that this year, on our advert that we set up, that we put out into the advertise this evening, we asked you to choose 3 places that we would want you to, that you thought that you were the most happiest with learning spaces. So we've got the 3 pictures of you all up above us. If you can tell us why you chose that background behind you as your favourite learning space. And I'll mix it up again. Emma, I'm going to start in the middle this time. So can you tell us, you've got the skeleton there, so that's an interesting start.
Yeah, so as you can probably tell, I chose to be in the science lab.
Yeah.
So I've loved science for as long as I can remember. All the mixing chemicals and cutting open hearts has always interested me. And I've had a lot of great science teachers who've really inspired me to keep going with it throughout my time at AIS. So that's why I chose that learning space.
I can tie to that too, Emma, because when I was your age, I loved the sciences as well. So it is really exciting. And later we're going to find out what you're going to do with some of that science, that passion that you have. All right, Hamish, can you tell us where you are and what you were thinking when you positioned this photo up?
So that is my IGCSE, so last year's English classroom. English, I definitely feel the most comfortable, and I feel like English has always been one of my favorite subjects. And last year I had a very wonderful teacher, Miss Bowman, and I've found a even more love for English. So yeah, that's where I feel the most comfortable in the English classroom.
I really like that, and I think you could probably tell us a bit more about it. If I was to put you on the spot then, English, Hamish, lots of reading, literature.
Yes.
What would be a favourite book?
Well, I have to say Catcher in the Rye. I've read it twice now. It was recently, I've started picking up not old, but classic novels. So
Yes.
At the moment I'm reading The Great Gatsby. I've read Animal Farm. What else? Grapes of Wrath. But I enjoy old literature like that, classic literature. And so, yeah, Catcher in the Rye is definitely my favorite.
I love that. Animal Farm was one of my favourite as well. 1984. That was another terrific one by that. We could talk all day, but that's lovely. And Ellie, can you tell us about where you are?
So I'm actually in my current art room.
Right.
I actually have been doing art since IGCSE as well, so for 2.5 years. And honestly, when I first started, I was pretty bad at art, but I had such a passion for it, which kind of drove me to grow my skills, which is why I love it so much, because I'm proud to say, you know, I've come so far with my art. And I also feel like the art rooms, they kind of give me a sense of, you know, freedom, because everything's so abstract in art, and it's really interesting.
I can understand that completely. I can understand the bit of not being very good at art, because I can resonate with that, and I'm still not. But I do understand. We're very lucky at our school, don't we, that we've actually got specific art spaces, and there is just a real wonderful sense about being in those art studios with all the art on the walls, all the equipment. They're always quite, and I love it. And I say this in a nice way, sort of messy places deliberately, aren't they? Because art's not a tidy. You know what I'm saying with that, don't you? I mean it in the best possible way, but I can resonate with those art rooms absolutely. Just I'm going to put you on the spot too. Art covers quite a broad range of forms. Is there one that you are particularly drawn to?
Well, I quite like graphite pencil. That's probably my better one and probably one of my favorites. But recently we've been exploring different medias, and I quite like ceramics and clay. I find that quite fun as well.
Wonderful. We actually have a little kiln too, don't we? I think.
We do. Yeah.
We actually do have a kiln, so that's nice. That's terrific. Yeah, pottery hands, using your hands and making that. I can understand that absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, that's very nice. And I think that gives the audience a little bit more of a background with you guys. And like I've talked to you before, it's a candid conversation tonight, which I think the audience will appreciate and hear. Now, back to what I was talking about before, and I've sort of gone about things a little the wrong order, but you've just been elected for prefects. And I know that a really strong part of our leadership program is for you guys to put in a series of objectives and a plan for what you would like to achieve over your tenure, over your year in this senior leadership role. You put together this slide really beautifully with 3 images, which is well done. I like that. It's nice to see. Who would like to go first? I've got the set of scales in the middle. Who can explain to the audience why we've got a set of scales?
That would be me. So the scales in the middle represent balance. So I feel like something that's really important that personally that I've had to deal with is finding that balance between school life, social life, working, part-time job, and sport and outside stuff, as well as inside stuff inside the school, like CCAs. So helping students find a balance between sporting or arts or whatever they're interested in, as well as their studies and their social life. I feel like that's really important, and the Prefect team would love to help students with that and sort of role model what that kind of would look like, and if students need a hand with that or some sort of idea of how they could do this, go along with balancing. I feel like that's something we want to help with, and yeah.
I think that is absolutely terrific, and I think that's something that every adult watching this would resonate with. And I think just having it as a topic, having it as something you're going to talk about, means the more people think about it, the more that they can. And I think it is something we do quite good at the school. I do think that we do push that, and I think our teachers do. We don't just completely push down academic study, because we know that's not going to build a balanced person going forward and enjoying life. I think that's excellent effort to champion that, Hamish, and I think the other students will, especially the younger ones, it's going to help them grow and think that's the right thing to do. So amazing. I'm going to jump up here. We've got our wonderful shark up here, which is such an awesome mascot. Who's going to talk me through what that means?
I will.
Terrific.
So we got together when we first became a prefect team. There's 19 of us.
Yes.
And we got this huge, long piece of paper, and we kind of wrote down our initiatives and what we wanted to do. And one of the biggest things that we wanted to focus on was reviving the shark spirit at AIS. And, we weren't really thinking, shark spirit sports. It's still sports, but we want to expand it, further to the arts, into academics, into the theatre, we want to expand this spirit everywhere into the school, because it's quite difficult at the moment with COVID, obviously. Everyone can feel a bit down, a bit restricted. But hopefully we're going to try to, lift everyone's spirits and just do the small things to make everyone just a little bit happier, a little bit more vibrant, increasing the music at school, that sort of stuff.
That is terrific, and you guys will know it's always for our audience sake. We have our 4 houses, don't we? And we have our and then on top of our 4 houses, we have our clubs that we use for our sporting sharks, which is what Ali was representing. But what I really like what you just said there, Ali, was going further than just the sport and looking at the drama, the arts as well for the shark spirit. So I think that's going to be. Have you got any ideas what you might do? I know you just said little things there, but do you have something that you're kicking off with?
Well, we do have a sharks chant which we want to introduce,
right.
But not just only for when you do a chant before you play a game. Maybe do a chant before you do a musical recital, or just the small things like that. Yeah.
I love that, and I love that you're spreading it out across our other areas, because we're very strong across the board, which is really important. That caters for everyone. I like the fact that you are framing up, making us looking at the happiness, being cheerful, being grateful. We've got to live in the now, don't we? We can't hope for the what might be and those sort of things. So I think that's awesome. Last but not least, and clearly Emma, this is going to be your one. We've got the home words up there. Can you explain to everyone what this means?
Yes, so HOME is a charity that our Prefect team is really happy to support. So it stands for Humanitarian Organisation of Migration Economics. So they're a charity here in Singapore, and they help migrant workers with legal aid or job training, employment advice, and even shelter if they need it. And so, we thought it's a really great cause to support, and we picked the other Prefect team actually helped pick the charity when the COVID-19 was hitting their dorms quite severely. So it was definitely a very worthy cause for our school to help.
I think that's fantastic, Emma. So you've carried on for the other group, and I think that's excellent. You're carrying on championing that. What really resonates with me is you've actually chosen an organisation on island. Yeah. So I know we can go elsewhere to look at charities that we could go and help, but what was wonderful about that charity is it was helping people in Singapore. And just for our audience, where that sort of came up with our Prefect group initially was, when COVID first came, our migrant workers in Singapore live in dorms, and they really were locked down. And Hamish has just popped off for a minute, but that's all right. They were locked down, so they were trying to make sure that these migrant workers were taken care of, and I think that that's terrific that you're carrying on with that. What I'd like to talk about next is I think it would be quite nice for the audience to know a little bit about I just said before, you're in year 11, you've done 2 terms of your final 2-year courses. Can you tell the audience, I'm going to ask each of you to tell the audience the course that you're doing, because we've got 2 options. We've got the HSC at AIS and we do the IBDP. We've got 2 different pathways that students can take. If you can tell the audience what is your pathway, perhaps why you chose that, and just tell us your subjects, because I think it's just quite nice to know different selections that different people are doing. This time I will start with Hamish. You can go first.
So I've picked the HSC, and I'm doing legal, business, biology, English, math, and English, biology, math, legal, business, and PE.
Yes.
And I find I have a really strong interest in English, as I said before, but also legal. And I've picked the HSC just because I've found it to be the course that kind of suits me. And I feel like some students sometimes feel as though they pick the IB because it's a course that's maybe harder or more achieving, but more rewarding. But I feel like the HSC is a course that would suit a lot of students as well, because it plays to your strengths. And that's really important, to play to your strengths. And the HSC has definitely done that for me. I feel really comfortable in my classes.
Yeah, I like the way that you explain that, Hamish, because I think if I was your age too, if I was in that same thing, I would have probably gone down your choice, because it does allow you to specialise in certain groups. Because I would have grabbed Emma's sciences, because I enjoyed science and I was quite good at math, so I would have used those 2. So I understand that's nicely explained. I'm going to jump up above you to Ali. Can you explain what course you're doing and why?
Yeah, so I'm doing the IBDP course, and originally I wasn't fully set on the IB. It was still a decision between HSC and IB, but I think what kind of pushed me more towards IB was that way that the tests work and the way that the curriculum is kind of suits the way that I study. So it was more of a personal thing. Right. And I do find that IBDP is quite similar to IGCSE, and I really enjoyed the IGCSE. I thought it was similar, something I would enjoy, and I do enjoy it, yeah. And the subjects that I currently do economics, biology, English, math, arts, and Spanish.
Terrific. I like the way that you explain that as well. And the very reason AIS didn't used to do the IGSE, and the very reason we brought it in was the preparation for both pathways. But yeah, it definitely assists with the IB as well. So it's nice that I don't think everyone would say they enjoy IGSE. It's quite a challenging course. It is robust, Ali. So I'm pleased that you can say you enjoyed it. So well done. Last but not least, Emma, can you tell us your journey, what you're thinking?
Yes, I also do the IBDP course.
Yeah.
And the subjects I take are English, language and literature, mathematics, analysis and approaches, Spanish, business management, biology and chemistry. And I think I chose IB. Again, I was quite torn between HSC and IB, but in the end, my brother actually did the IB course. He graduated last year. And so I kind of saw what it was like, and I saw the expectations for it. And so I think that kind of just helped push me more towards IB.
Yeah, I love that. It's seeing it. You would have heard it through your brother's experience. You would have seen the real intricacies of it, right? And how the course builds over time, over the 2 years, and aligns yourself. So that makes a lot of sense, Emma. And I like your subject choices too. You were doing Spanish. Did you say Spanish?
Spanish.
Is that your first time learning Spanish? Is that what?
Yeah. So I'm taking Spanish ab initio. Yeah. So yeah, it was the only beginner language that was offered, which is why I took it. I didn't feel like my Chinese level was quite up to Chinese.
Right. How's it going? 6 months in?
Yeah, pretty well. We've got our first speaking assessment in a couple of weeks, so we'll see.
We'll soon find out. Yes, I like that. Yeah, absolutely. Oh, that's really nice. I think, Ali, you said you were doing Spanish too. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm also doing Spanish. Yeah.
I love it. All right, that's terrific. It's a great language to learn. Travel, South America is fantastic, and obviously Spain, which makes a lot of sense. Let's go on to next. What I would like to know is if we just go and have a look at, I've got this next slide here up. Whereabouts do you guys see yourselves? So we've got where you currently are. I know we've put you on a little bit of a spot before. We've got your current subjects. Whereabouts do you see yourselves going in the future? And I know things can change, which I think you can beautifully explain as well. We've got, again, when I talked to you earlier, you brilliantly just put up 3 images here. So I'm going to go through again, and I'm going to choose a diagram and let the person who it belongs to explain what this diagram means and where you are looking to for the future. So I'm going to start with biology science, and I think the audience and all of us can probably guess the person this might belong to, or maybe not.
This is actually mine.
Oh.
As much as I do love art, I do also have a massive passion for science, in particular biology. And it's definitely something I see myself doing in the future. Honestly, nothing in particular with biology, just biology itself. I quite like human anatomy and, that area in biology, but I just really enjoy science. And where I want to go to uni, I'm not entirely sure at the moment. It's most likely Australia, probably Melbourne, but
right.
I'm not limited to anything. Yeah.
Okay, so when you're in that process, I know that we talk about different universities, and I know that we've got a specialised program to help each of you. When, Ali, will you send off applications to universities? Have you got that is there a timeline there just for us?
Yeah, it matters where you want to go, if it's New South Wales, if it's Victoria. It's around mid next year. So I think Victoria is August next year. We send off applications.
Terrific, because just for our audience sake, we've got a specific careers team that actually help every student should look at their pathway, think about their pathway. I think you had these conversations back when you were in year 9, 10, when you were thinking about doing the IB. Am I right in saying that? Emma, you're nodding. Is that right? Is that the way that happened?
Yeah, definitely.
All right, terrific. Let's go now. I'm going to go for the set of scales again. I've got another set of scales. Someone else's
set of scales. Yeah, that's me again. Scales seem to be at front here at the moment. This is to represent law. At the moment, I have a real interest in law and legal studies.
Right.
And like I've said, literature subjects seem to be where I excel the most and I feel the most comfortable. So I've found a real interest in law. There's a funny story. I actually picked art originally as a subject, and I enjoyed the subject a lot, actually. But I felt like legal studies would suit me better. So I changed course within 2 weeks of being in the HSC, and I just fell in love with it. I've loved legal so much, and I hope I'm doing well. I hope my teachers are doing well, but I felt really comfortable in it. So law is definitely a big option at the moment, and probably go study at UQ or QUT in Queensland. But also Melbourne wouldn't be off the table as well. So, yeah.
Terrific. That makes a lot of sense. English-based, so law is an awful lot of reading. That's for sure. Understanding the written word and nice that you're doing legal studies now, because that gives you a nice taste for written law, because it's quite different, isn't it, than the type of language that we would use in everyday life. You said a few options there. Queensland, your family's from Queensland, is also Melbourne. Is it because of the course, the actual legal type of course, or you just see as it comes up?
I think just because I love Queensland, and I'm fairly sure that I'll go back to Queensland and study in Queensland. I've got all my family there. But I also wouldn't mind going to Melbourne, you know, seeing a new
Yeah.
place, seeing different things, new faces. Yeah. So, I mean, Monash has a really good legal course.
Yes.
But so does UQ. So it's really up to how I perform in my ATAR and what I feel comfortable with in a year's time. So, yeah.
It's nice that you've still got that time to make those choices. I think as long as you don't go supporting anyone sporting wise in Melbourne, your family will forgive you, Hamish, all right? But just not the sporting ties, otherwise they might not forgive you for that. And let's go. So now we can work out. We've got the lovely cross in the middle here. Emma, tell us about this.
Yeah, so at university, I definitely want to continue down the science path.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping to do a Doctor of Veterinary Science at university. And yeah, I'm also hoping to go to the University of Sydney.
I like that. That sounds really that's very exciting. Explains the animals, the Red Cross there, which true. When we were having a pre-chat to this, you told me that you've always wanted to do this. Is this right? Yeah,
definitely. I always wanted to do it probably since I was around 2 years old and could see an animal. I've been like, yep, I'm going to be a vet.
It's fantastic. It just shows, you know, that you had that determination and you've gone the whole way. And I do know that you're doing very well. So I know that you're going to succeed and most certainly get in. Just with vet, I know a lot of vet friends, I'm not too sure if it's the Sydney's course, is small animals, larger animals. Is there a choice that you might go down?
Yeah, I think you can choose, but I'm just going to see where it takes me.
Right. Terrific. I love the sound of that. You certainly have given us all a really nice rounding around yourselves, background. I'm going to put you on the spot here, and I want you to think back to this. You've had nice journeys here, and I know that Emma and Ali have been at school for a long time, so you've got quite a bit more and a bit of an advantage over Hamish here for this question. But what I'd like you to talk about is just perhaps a teacher that you've had that, not a favourite teacher out of anything, but perhaps a teacher that's influenced you at our school, and why perhaps you've chosen that teacher. I'm going to go Hamish first because I think I know who he might choose.
Yes, I do have a teacher in mind. Miss Bowman.
Yeah.
Miss Bowman had her for year 9 and year 10 English, and year 9 I'll say was we had a rocky relationship. There was a lot of she definitely knew how my teaching style was, like how I needed to be taught, and I feel like under her guidance and under her teaching, I thrived and I performed really well in my IGCSE, better than I would have expected. And I've really just enjoyed her teaching style, and I've still kept a good relationship with her, so I can go to her with speeches and stuff like that. So, yeah.
I really like that, Hamish. I actually like the way that you started. I imagine she challenged you. I imagine she didn't let you rest. I know what Miss Bowman, she has very high expectations for her students, which I know students can find a little difficult at times. Like they're being challenged and told you got to do more can mean that perhaps it's not that. So I like the way that you frame that up. And yes, she's terrific with the public speaking and law. She would be a great one for. I can imagine you the theatrics of a courtroom, maybe Hamish down the line. Let's see. If we jump across, I'm going to go Emma next. We're going to move across the bottom.
Yeah, so definitely one of the most inspiring teachers I've had has been my current chemistry teacher, Mr. Gardner. So he also taught me for year 9 IGCSE. And I mean, he'll probably kill me for saying this, but chemistry isn't always the easiest or most captivating subject. But he comes into every lesson and he's always just so enthusiastic and so passionate about science, and he just passes it on to all of us. And, year 9 for IGCSE, he'd stop you in the hall to ask you to define osmosis or stuff like that.
He certainly is a character, and I do appreciate too. It is a very academically challenging course, chemistry, and I think it's terrific that you, obviously it makes sense going into veterinary science, you having a deep understanding for around that with drugs and medicine, human biology, all those sort of things. So I love that you've chosen that. I think that's a really interesting one, and I can resonate with you. Mr. Gardner's quite a character too, so I can imagine him doing that and expecting you to tell him the answer too, not actually joking. Yeah, yeah, I can imagine that. Ellie, can you tell us about yours, who you've chosen?
Mine would actually be Miss Murphy. I do think that she has impacted me the most. She actually hasn't taught me since year 6. She was my year 6 teacher. And year 6 is also my favorite year in school, like ever. I absolutely loved year 6, and I do think that she was a part of that. She has such a caring nature, and she's such a generous and kind, like genuine person. And I think she was able to pass that on to us as well, and be able to teach us, how we should like carry ourselves. And she didn't mean to, say, oh, you have to be kind. She just showed us. And I thought that was amazing. And we're lucky enough as a prefect team, we get to work with her this year for the next year.
Yes.
So it's been great catching up with her and working with her again.
Oh gosh, Ellie, she would be really thrilled that you chose her. I must make sure that she said it. She'd be really thrilled with that. I worked with her in year 6, and you were spot on. What you just said then, which was really lovely, was you said she showed kindness. And she just is. She's a bit of a dag too, isn't she? Right? She's a bit of a hard-faced lady. She's a character too. She can be a character, can't she? And that's what I really like about her as well. And you because you're working with her along the what's the role again that you guys work with her? Is that under the charities? Is that right?
Yeah, we work with her with the charities a little bit, but also she's there for just positive mindset. And
that's right.
All the little things as well.
Yes. Sorry, I was just thinking that she does do the positive education in the school, which is really terrific. And that suits her, isn't it? Positive education, Miss Murphy.
Yeah.
Absolutely down pat. That's wonderful. I'm gonna now again put you on the spot for this one. What is one thing that you've enjoyed doing while you're at school? That you've enjoyed doing? Like for me, if I was to go back and as a teacher there, one of my favourite things I've ever done at AIS is we used to have a camp where we went to Teeman Island, right? That was an experience. I know the kids really enjoyed going there, but just choose someone. Hamish, once again, you're slightly disadvantaged. You've got 4 years to choose from. The others have got 7 and 11, but that's okay. I'm going to go back. I'll start in the middle. Emma's thinking, gosh, you haven't given me much time. Choose one memory that you think you'll take away from the school.
Oh, hard to pick just one. Yeah, I just think I need to reiterate what I said. Like all the productions I've done, I've been involved in productions every year since year 5, and each one is so special. And you just remember each one, and you get to know a whole bunch of people that in all different grades that you usually wouldn't get to know. But I've definitely made a lot of friendships in it, and it's great to have those 3 nights at the end of it. Everyone's just having a lot of fun.
Yeah, we've got a gorgeous theatre too, don't we? And it is well. It's got fantastic lighting from the practices, all that hard work where it looks terrible for weeks, doesn't it? That when you're doing the productions, you don't feel like you're going to pull it off, and then all of a sudden those 3 fantastic nights that we put on with hundreds of people coming to them over. So I totally resonate with that, Emma. I've seen so many at our school, and every year the level of your acting and the production is really quite professional. Ali, I'm going to jump to you next. Give Hamish some more time since he's got less to delve into.
I do think as a sporty person, AIS has given me a lot of opportunities, and it's given me so many experiences from those opportunities. I think Hamish and Emma can also agree. They're both pretty sporty. We've been able to travel so much with the school, representing AIS all over the world. I even went to the UK for 2 weeks with the school, and that was such an incredible experience. I'd never been to the UK before, but I learnt so much and I was able to bond with the team. It wasn't so much about the sports, but
Yep.
it was about the team and getting to know people. And I wouldn't have been able to do that if I didn't go here at AIS.
Oh, absolutely. That's a really good one. We've got what's really nice about our school is I think that, like you just said, there is the winning. There is nice to participate with that, but it's just such a range of sports too, isn't there? Right? Like people can really find the sport that they would like to do for life. Last but not least, Hamish, what memory have you got?
One of the first sort of memories I have here at AIS is Australia Day, the Australia Day barbecue that we'd hold. So that's those events like Ice Day, Australia Day, Fish and Chips Night. Those have been, I would say, probably some of the best afternoons I've had at the school.
Yeah,
they've just been. It's just nice to see the community together and everyone kind of having fun, having something to eat, listening to live music. Emma, you'd get up and play some music and sing, and yeah, it's just really fun because you get to hang out with your mates and meet some of the parents and just run around, and yeah, it's good fun. I do miss those days, but I'm hoping, fingers crossed, that possibly we can have one more for the end of the year, for the end of the school, my schooling year. Yeah.
Absolutely. We are in Singapore. We're very lucky that the country is 70% vaccinated. As of just last week, they announced and they talked about in the coming couple of weeks. So you guys, this is really good news for your prefect group. So when we get to 80 to 90%, which is going to happen in the next, couple of months, we will get back to far more normality. And I think without getting in trouble, tell you that we are going to do things for Ice Day. So I know that you're wondering about this. So that's really just for our audience. Who would like to explain Ice Day quickly? Because it's an amazing event. Hey, Emma, I'm going to put you to the spot. Ice Day, tell us what Ice Day means. It's not ice as people think. It's not water. Well, maybe a little bit, but not much.
Yeah, so Ice Day is a day we do every year. And it stands for International Cultural Experience. So it's usually the last day of term 2, and everyone dresses up in a different culture, and there's all these amazing food stalls that all the parents put up that has all different foods from different cultures. And then in the afternoon, we have a big showcase where students can come and display all different cultural dances or songs, anything like that.
It is for people who. I just think it is an amazing event. Yeah, you're absolutely right. We've got 50, although we're the Australian school, we've got 53 different nationalities that are represented in our school, and people that are very proud of where they've come from and what they do. And it's a massive day of food stalls. Everyone dresses up, fantastic. It's a real highlight to our school year. Thank you very much for explaining that. Now, what I have forgotten to say at the very start, and what I should have said was, just for our audience, this is an interactive episode. So what I mean by that is you are able to write any questions in the chat bar at the bottom, and any questions for our 3 school leaders. It can be anything that you might have that you want to know a little bit more about. They'll be very candid and very honest, as you can tell from what they've said so far. So if any of our parents who are watching or anyone out there would like to type a question in, absolutely do so, and we will get to those. I've already got one question, so that's amazing. Got one from Cassandra here. She's saying, thank you for the wonderful session. Can I ask how well-being looks like at AIS, especially the exam stress in secondary and during this COVID climate? That's a terrific question. And Ellie, I'm going to, because you were talking about Miss Murphy, well-being, positive education, can you tell the audience a little bit about our school's approach around these?
Well, wellbeing is definitely a huge thing at AIS. We have wellbeing prefects, there's wellbeing staff. The school cares a lot about wellbeing, which is an amazing thing as a student at AIS. And it's also wellbeing for teachers as well, which is great. And there's a lot of things we do for it and that they do for us, such as we often get surveys, just, how are you feeling at school? Are you safe at school? Do you want anyone to talk to? And which I quite love, the forms, instead of having to go up to teacher and be like, oh, I need to talk to someone. It's kind of more, if you're scared, if you're scared to ask someone, it's for a wide range audience. Yeah. And Wellbeing it's found in many different areas in the school. I think you can, they have these little Wellbeing books that we're currently talking about. It's not a real thing yet, but they're going to be Wellbeing books which you can write in and talk about your well-being. And it's showcased in many different ways to approach many different people, because everyone doesn't respond to the same thing the same way.
Oh, that's a fantastic explanation. I think even you guys are going to contribute massively with your balanced approach, right? And that's to do with well-being, right? A balanced approach to life. I think that your message as the prefects group that Hamish said about the start, I think that goes a long way to our well-being. We went down the positive education many years ago, and Miss Murphy was definitely a big part of us carrying that on. It's every part of it. It's a great question, and I hope that we answered that, Cassandra, for you. If there's any other parents who have got any other questions, feel free to either say well done to us. Oh, here we go. Here's another question from Sarah here. Lovely to hear from the students. Well, not from me, that's disappointing. But what tips would you give to new students joining to make the most out of AIS and to help settle in? So that's a good question. What tips would you give new students? I'm going to ask each of you for a new tip. That would be a nice way to go about this. A new tip for new students, help them settle in. Hamish, can we get you to start? Give us one new tip that you think for a new student.
Yeah, well, I joined only not too long ago, so it's still pretty fresh. I'd say a tip is getting to know your surroundings very much, and you've got a buddy. Luckily, AIS has a buddy system, so you're buddied up with someone at the start of the year to help you show around. But getting to know your surroundings, know where you are in the school, where's your classrooms are, where's the canteen, where's the theatre, where's the sports hall. That can be a really good way to sort of help find, I guess, a sense of home and comfort, and you find you feel a bit more comfortable in the school and where you are. So, yeah.
I love that. And you did right, Hamish, being familiar with where you are becomes a comfortable thing. And what's quite lovely about AIS with that is we are a through school. So Ali and Emma would have gone, you've started in the same site. So all those school years you've gone from there, we do start in early years, but you could be elementary and then up to the secondary, know the school very well. Emma, what would you say for a new student? You've welcomed lots of them. We are an expat life. You've seen lots of friends coming and going. What's a tip that you might give a new friend?
I would definitely say just get involved. AIS offers so many great opportunities. All the CCAs we have, we for sure have something for everyone, from science club to sports teams to music ensembles, and just getting involved in any of those, you make a lot of great friends, and they're not necessarily people who you'd be in the class with, but it just helps really bring that sense of community around AIS.
I love that. What does CCA stand for?
So CCA stands for co-curricular activities.
Right. I was just making that explicit for our audience. Thanks so much, Emma. You are spot on, and what I think I've loved about you three is sounds like you've all tried things that you not necessarily going to be your strongest thing. Ali's carried on with art, which she said it wasn't, and she's doing that in her last years at school, which is amazing. So that's true, and I think that is a nice way. The more people you meet from different places, get involved in different aspects, that's a terrific piece of advice. Ali, I'm sure you've got some good advice. What would you give someone?
Well, definitely similar to Emma, just give everything a go.
Yeah.
Don't hold back, because I understand that, nerves as a new student, it can be quite difficult, but try everything out, try new things out, because it's a different environment. Everything feels a little different. So, trying something new won't hurt. And I think, as Emma said, it's so great. Like here at AIS, if you join a sport team, you already have like a huge group of friends when that's that team, because the community here is so great and everyone's so welcoming.
I think that's dead right, and I like the way that you did say. Of course, it's going to be a little bit anxious. You're new, right? There's no doubt. But what I do notice is we are being an expat community, and what I mean by that is people coming and leaving Singapore. We are terrific at welcoming new friends, new players, new teammates, new stars alongside our drama, having a go. It's a real spirit there. So if anyone was new coming to our school, sign up for something, go and get involved. I know that you three are clearly three school leaders, so you're obviously very good and great examples of students at our school. But I think you would say everyone in all of Year 11 is very similar to you guys and outgoing and friendly in nature.
And sorry, if I can just saying hello as well. Everyone at the school, like you said, is an expat school, so everyone's coming and going constantly. So we're always meeting new people, saying goodbye to some people that we've known for a while. So everyone's very welcoming in the fact that if you come up, say hello, introduce yourself, a little bit about yourself, people will just accept you for who you are.
Yeah, and Hamish, and that's a great call out. That is a fantastic one, and I really reiterate that too. And I know it takes that first step, and I'm really good at grabbing someone and saying hello to. I think that you could probably, Hamish, you came, which is quite nice. You came as a Year 8, and you would have left your mates back in Australia, probably not that happy with mum and dad at the time, and they'll be on the call, but you could say that, well, I understand, you're a teenager, right? In Year 8.
Yeah, well, yeah.
What was it like? What was it like when you first came in? What were your thoughts?
So I'll admit I had no idea what to expect. I'd only ever lived in Australia. I've actually never been to another country. I'd only ever been to Australia, never traveled to another country. So Singapore was the first outside of Australia country that I traveled to.
Yes.
So I had no idea to expect. I was pretty much walking into it somewhat blind. Of course, you have the introduction days with the teacher, and they walk you around the school, which is really good because you, like I said, getting that sense of where you are in the school and what you know where you are. It's really important. But you don't really know what the students are going to be like or what the teachers are going to be like until you walk in on that day and you kind of get that vibe or that feeling. Mm-hmm. And pretty much I walked into the classroom and my Strive teacher was just over the top, bubbly, energetic, lucky person. And she welcomed me into the class, and I immediately made some friends. A boy called Ricky. I made friends with him. He's still here. And I had no idea what to expect, but within 2 weeks I was already felt at home.
Yeah, and I love the way that you say that, because and can you just tell the audience what's Strive? What is Strive? What does that mean?
Strive is the homeroom at the start of the day. So it's not just a place to, put your bag down. It's look at your emails. It's a place to kind of connect with new people in your class, connect with your new class. And also we do activities in Strive. Every Wednesday we have a double period of Strive. Right. So we do activities like Wellbeing. Recently we did a few different courses like looking into financial when we leave school, how to build on relationships, rock and water, which was a self-defense class, all sorts of things. Strive isn't just a homeroom. Strive is, I guess, another class, you could say. Yeah.
That's you explain that very, very clearly to our audience. It's a big part of our pastoral care system, and the reason that it's nice that it's at the start of the day, your first thing, they bring you in there, and it's all other students, your year group. Nice way to be introduced. I like the way that you said this, Hamish, because again, we will share tonight's episode with other teenagers, and as teenagers, it's all very well what the adults say. It's all very well what the adults say. You just want to see other teenagers, don't you? You want to see who are these people. So a massive thank you to you three for sharing a bit about yourselves very openly, very candidly. I'll just go back to the questions now and just make sure I haven't missed anything from anyone else. We don't have any more questions there at the moment, so obviously you have delighted our audience, which is terrific. I will wind up, we're about to finish off the episode, so finally from me, thank you very much, Ali, Emma and Hamish for your time tonight. It was greatly appreciated. If anyone in the audience does have any questions and it's to one of the students, I can get them to type it and write it back to you, which they will very willingly do. So thank you very much. Go and enjoy the rest of your evening, you three, and to our audience, and as far as Australia, I believe, and all around the world that's watching us tonight, thank you very much for joining us. Enjoy the rest of your evening and take care.